Hello! Well, I hope you don't suffer too much in this quiz all about Job. 20 questions. Let's begin. Question 1. Where did Job live? Was it Buz, Uz, or Oz? And he lived in Uz, according to Job chapter 1. Question 2. Before all the trials, how many sons did Job have? Was it 2, 5, 7, or 12? And that was 7. Question 3. What would Job do in the morning after his sons' feasts? Was it pray for a blessing on the family, offer a sacrifice for each child, clean up, or cook them breakfast? And he offered a sacrifice for each child, according to chapter 1, verse 5. Question 4. How did Job's sons and daughters die? Was it through an earthquake, fire, flood, or did a house fall on them? And a great wind came and knocked the house down on them. Question 5. With what did Job scratch his sores with? Was it a sheep jaw, broken pottery, a piece of stale bread, or an olive branch? And he scratched his sores with pieces of broken pottery, in Job chapter 2. Question 6. From which country did Bildad come? Was it Teman, Shua, Ephraim, or Namath? And that was Shua, according to chapter 2. Question 7. When Job's friends arrived, for how long did they sit in silence? Was it an hour, 6 hours, 1 day, or 7 days? And that was 7 days, the usual time for mourning. Question 8. Who was the first to break the silence? Was it Zophar, Job, Bildad, or Eliphaz? And that was Job himself. Question 9. What did Job lament over to begin with? Was it his birth, his wealth, his family, or his health? And in Job chapter 3, he wished he'd never been born. Question 10. Job said that if his misery could be weighed, what would it be heavier than? Was it the leaves of the trees, the sand of the seas, waters of the oceans, or the beasts of the fields? And that's the sand of the seas, which can be compared to Proverbs 27. A stone is heavy and sand is weighty, but a fool's provocation is heavier than both. Question 11. Why was Elihu angry with Job's 3 friends? Is it because they had found no answer for Job? They had been rude to Job? They had blamed him for everything? Or they had not listened to Job? And he was angry because they'd found no answer for Job. Question 12. Why did Elihu wait for the others to finish before speaking? Is it because he had arrived late? They hadn't let him speak. He was younger, or God had sealed his mouth. And that was because he was younger, according to Job chapter 32. Question 13. From where did God answer Job? Was it a cloud, the mouth of a donkey, an angel, or a whirlwind? And that was a whirlwind in Job chapter 38. Question 14. What creatures mentioned by God grazed like an ox and lied in the shade of trees? Was it a behemoth, dragons, Nephilim, or unicorns? And that's a behemoth, according to Job chapter 40. Question 15. Where did the creature Leviathan dwell? Was it in trees, caves, the water, or mountains? And that's the water. Was it a crocodile? Question 16. What did the Lord in his anger tell Eliphaz to take to Job as a burnt offering? Was it 7 bulls and 7 rams, 2 pigeons and 2 turtle doves, 6 goats and 6 oxen, or 5 lambs and 5 ephahs of grain? And that was 7 bulls and 7 rams, according to chapter 42. Question 17. How much did Job receive when God restored his wealth compared to before? Was it half, the same, double, or treble? Job got back double what he had before. Question 18. For how many more years did Job live once his fortune was restored? Was it 40 years, 93 years, 120 years, or 140 years? And he lived for another 140 years. Question 19. Which New Testament writer talks of the patience of Job? Is that Peter, Matthew, James, or John? And that's James, in James chapter 5. And question 20. Which prophet mentions Noah, Daniel, and Job as men of righteousness? Is that Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, or Joel? And that's Ezekiel in chapter 14, verse 14. So how did you do? I hope it wasn't too woeful for you. I pray that your lives are not filled with so much suffering, but remember, every cloud has a silver lining. Until next time, goodbye and God bless.